Ladies and gentlemen and everything in between, I am Penguin and I would like to welcome you to Shakuras Plateau, where we will be seeing a game of the highest caliber between dSeleCT in the bottom left-hand corner and in the bottom right, QIMNesTea. NesTea, of course, popularized as one of the best Zerg players in the world, if not the best at this point. dSeleCT, also a very, very skilled player. NesTea is, I believe, 3-time Codes winner since StarCraft 2 came out. Don't quote me on that. But yeah. Anyway, we're going to be seeing this TVZ on Shakuras Plateau. A pretty balanced map at this point. I think one of the more balanced maps in the map pool of Blizzard's map pool anyway. It's basically what'll end up happening since close spawn is disabled. It's always left-right. And of course this means that the map is just sort of split right down the middle. These two expansions, very difficult for Zerg to take against the Terran if the Terran can control the middle. If the Terran can control the middle, they can essentially win the game relatively easily, as long as they don't get broken through and then just counterattacked all over the place. NesTea on this map is going to have lots and lots of vision, being close by air. The potential for drops is very much there, and he should be pretty wary about that, but he is NesTea, he knows this stuff. Going to be going for a hatch first opening on 15. Going to be going for that added economy. Pretty standard build against Terran at this point, especially on a map like this where it's pretty easy to hold off any sort of bunker cheese or whatever, unless you block the entire ramp. But even then, on the pro level, they don't really have much trouble dealing with that, unless it's micro perfectly. Anyway, NesTea is going to be, dSeleCT is going to be putting up this barracks, this first barracks. And it'll be interesting to see where he goes from here. He has a couple of choices. The map is large, but it's not super huge, so he could go for a 2-racks opening. He could go for some sort of aggressive play, or he could opt for a 1-rack expand. Of course, the ramp here is pretty narrow into the natural, pretty easy to defend against Zerg. You can get a wall off there relatively easily. You can float that barracks down there, put on a second barracks or a couple of extra supply depots, and be done with it. But it looks like he is going to opt to put the bunker down here in the mineral line. And NesTea does obviously know that it's going up. He's going to be trying to get that SCV down before it finishes. But the SCV is currently in a position where it can't be hit. He will leave that, though. Will not opt to finish that just yet. Going to be trying to run tail between his legs, get his way home. Spawning pool about to finish up for NesTea. And he is also going to go straight into producing some Zerglings. Natural response when something like that happens, but the Marines have turned around, and it looks like he's just going to be going into a factory build. Hellions, obviously very good in TVZ, absolutely roast those Lings. Sorry, iced tea is amazing. Anyway, Hellions very good, they roast those Lings, but on this map they are less effective against the drones than they could be. You can always elevator them up into the main. The main is very large, so it takes a while for a Zerg to get full vision around all of the little back doors that a medevac can exploit into his main. But as for the ramp here, it's pretty easy to defend. Pretty thin. If you go roaches, you can wall that off with 6 roaches. Otherwise, you can just get a couple of spines, maybe an evolution chamber down in there, and it should be relatively easy. NesTea not opting to grab a 3rd queen just yet. One of the things that a lot of players will do that we see a lot is as soon as that queen pops out at the natural, they'll go straight into grabbing a 3rd queen to get the creep spread. He is instead opting to just focus on droning, he is going to get a roach war in there, and he's going to focus on getting link speed at the moment, getting map control, making sure that nothing too nasty happens to him early on. These 2 Hellions are going to be moving out to these Zelnaga watchtowers, taking out those Lings that are manning them. The other Lings, no, one of those 2 Lings does get home. And he doesn't have much here to deal with these. I mean, he has the Lings, but other than that, he's producing drones right now. Roach Warren is not done, doesn't have that 2nd queen, nor does he have any spine crawlers as defense. But of course, NesTea is known for just managing to somehow choose the exact minimum units needed to hold off an oncoming attack. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he can deal with it. Link speed is done. He's producing 1 roach. Queen is going to be taking the brunt of that damage, splitting those Lings very well, microing them practically perfectly, but of course it's very hard to get any shots off on that many Hellions with Lings. Oh god, he's lining those drones up very nicely, but the Lings will be able to block that shot from getting off and finishing those drones. Very nice play, managing to, and that roach will come out. Will he manage to get that last Hellion, no, the Hellion does escape. And the other roaches are spawning. Gonna be sending those guys right back to mining. Taking a look at the unit counting station. He does have a worker lead by 3 at this point. 31 to 28. Not what you want as a Zerg at this point. Zerg generally wants a little bit of a surfing glitch going on down there. But a Zerg generally wants to be pretty far ahead in the economy. It's one of the strengths of the race, naturally. So, being equal on bases, equal on workers, not quite ideal. NesTea is supply blocked, has been supply blocked for quite a bit, and his overlords are still a pretty long way away from finishing, but he is going to be going for a Roach Ling attack, and yeah, those SCVs are being pulled to heal up that Hellion, ready to repair that bunker, but they are going to go back to mining. And here's the push, and NesTea running straight up into the main. He's leaving some of his Lings behind. I'm not sure I like this by him. He takes a while to get those Lings in, and I think it could be too late. Yeah, he's forced to turn tail and run. The roaches are going to push back up the ramp, try to get a couple of shots on there, but there is a Marauder in that bunker that will do absolutely horrific damage to those roaches, and yeah, I think he's killed enough of those units that they won't be able to take out the bunker. The mass repair in the bunker going down will be able to hold relatively easily, and NesTea will be repelled this time. Forced to run home. These overlords have spawned. He's getting very good vision around his base. I think he can see practically everything except for these little back doors here, but if a medevac were to try to fly there, he has the vision over here. So NesTea's own vision is going very well. He is putting up the double Evo chamber. And is that a macro hatch? That is a macro hatch. Going for the in-base macro hatch, the safer larva production structure, rather than the more dangerous third expansion, which is one of the things that we've seen a lot of players do lately. Is rather than grabbing that really early third, he'll go for the macro hatch in the main, and then follow that up with a quick third, well, not a quick third, but a third, and then pretty soon after that third, get a fourth. Select has been supply blocked for a while as well, and he's only now started producing those supply depots, so players slipping a little bit on their supply on the other hand, just since we're on that, practically even right now. Once again, he finishes up one of those supply depots, and immediately he's supply blocked once again. Worker supply, NesTea now does have a commanding lead, leading by 15 workers. Army supply is swinging slightly in Select's favor. Going to be moving out with a pretty strong Marine Marauder push here. Does NesTea have more than these 3 roaches? He has 3 roaches and a queen and a whole number of drones, but Marauders do very well against drones. He's going to be spawning a couple more of those roaches right away. I'm not sure if he saw that coming. He didn't have anything outside the main, to my knowledge. We'll be finishing that wall off as well. A little bit of a free overlord there for Select, and he's even going to drop them on the high ground just to deal with that overlord. But he's sort of hidden his numbers. Never mind. He's moving out into the field. NesTea, is he going for a counter? NesTea is in fact going for a counter. No, he's not. He's just going to stand there. He's gonna opt to defend off creep, which I think is kind of weird, but he is the Grandmaster. He is the GSL Codes multiple time champion. I'm sure he knows better than I do. Infestation pit going down for NesTea. Queen is up for the second hatchery in the main. Lair is obviously up as well. 1-1 upgrades pretty much done, and he is going to get a nice round of those units that were left out in the front, and there's just far too many units here for QIMNesTea. Select has to return home. Does join up. He will be sitting at the watchtower waiting for these little reinforcements to come in. A third base is going up for NesTea. There has been a Marine left up here to prevent that the quick fourth. He's pushing back into his main. I don't like that he has no static defense, but that's just me. Going to be pushing up into the main, taking out the creep. Oh, those overlords are not in a good position. Could supply block Nest. No, he has too many overlords at this point, but the roaches are just going to be able to repel this. Not the best engagement for the Marines. They are in a bit of a choke, but now they force the roaches into the choke, and all of a sudden this has turned completely around. Will pick them up and run into the main. Be able to take out a lot of these overlords, and maybe both of the queens before those roaches even get there. One of the queens will fall, and he's going to go straight back into those medevacs and run away. Fantastic attack by Select. Got more than he could have out of those units, migrating them back, forcing the roaches into that choke position. NesTea still has the supply lead, but at this point he's been forced to produce units so long that Select is actually leading in workers. Going to be engaging at... Oh, not a good engagement for NesTea. Good idea of him to just sort of back out. There is a siege tank there. Got a last shot on those Lings. That was able to kill them pretty easily. 2-2 is coming, and I think it's important to note that he is getting the melee attacks rather than the ranged attacks, which, while that may not make much sense since he has so many more roaches than he has Lings at this point, it's a good late game decision as you want to go into the Broodlords. Broodlords, the Broodlings take those upgrades with them. Ultralisks take those upgrades. And, of course... Zerglings are units that are just easy to produce throughout the game, whereas roaches do require a bit more in the way of money. Infestor's popping out now. Does have 2 of those. Infestor's fantastic support units, obviously. And there is another push coming in by Select. Did not catch the Maynard, which is good positioning by NSC here. Does get a fantastic fungal off on those Marines and those Marauders, and the Roaches are going to come in and absolutely decimate everything here. Running straight back to the tank here. He should be focusing down the tank. Does focus down one of the tanks. The other tank will fall relatively easily. The Marauders that medevac will survive, but one of them is very low on health, and that was not a good fight for Select. All of a sudden, ST is just dominating. A little bit of a drop in here, but only a couple of Marines. Not able to do that much. Maybe killed a couple of those units, but finally getting a Spine Crawler up here. Looks like a bit of a miss rally there. Marine being taken out. Manages to goad them into coming into that little area there and taking a couple of Lings out with that siege tank, but he's running for a counterattack here. Sees the tank unsiege and will surround it with the Lings. Oh, that's an expensive loss there. And he's leading them straight into the 3rd that he has so many SCVs at. And this army will not last very long. Select at 1-1. And SC's also not quite finished to this 2-2, but he will be able to take off a good number of these SCVs and force, obviously, the time that he could have spent mining at the natural is going to be denied. There are lots of Lings back here as well to reinforce. Going to be trying to land straight away, but I don't think there's enough units here to hold that. There is that tank, which will take those Lings out pretty quickly, but as soon as +1 armor finishes, the tank will no longer one-shot Lings. And the question is, what does he do now? He's waiting for another little swarm of Lings, and he's producing 28 more as well as getting a hive up. Gonna get a gas here. Interesting. I think he may have tried to build a hatchery there, but failed because of that Marine. A nice fungal on those Marines. One tank will fall very quickly. The Roaches are going to focus down that second tank. Second tank does also fall, and the Lings are loose in the mineral line, killing SCVs left, right, and center. Does manage to get a lot of them out, but these are all going to fall as well. The Lings, and that last tank is going to be a hero tank, going to be able to hold them off, but that is a lot of losses for Select, who is now almost 30 behind in the supply. And there's just swarm after swarm of Ling Infestor coming over here. Looking at the army supply. Worker supply's lead is almost 20 in Nestie's favor. Another engagement here. He's going to go for focusing down that tank, but the position on that tank is very good. Managed to hold with very low health. Another tank down here is going to be launching tons of mules down here at this expansion, trying to get as much mining out of there, trying to mine that as fast as possible so that it can move. There is a sensor tower that will see the reinforcing Lings, but there's not really that much you can do about it at this point. There are 2 medevacs, 1.5 loaded medevacs moving out here to drop over here, but he won't see it. There are no overlords in that position. We'll be able to split those Lings up very nicely to, running into the small group of Lings first to take the shot of those tanks. We'll get some infested Terrans off, and those Lings are just far too numerous here. There are just so many Lings being able to deal with those, and the bunker will fall. The tanks have fallen, and that bunker will fall as well. The SCVs do not do well against 2-2 upgraded Lings. And those Infestors, where are the Infestors? The Infestors seem to have run away. Good decision. They don't have a standard attack. Will hold again, but wow, that is just so much damage dealt by an ST. Still loose in this mineral line, taking out worker after worker and clearing that up once again. One SCV does survive with minimal health. These Infestors here just waiting for their chance. This drop did not do very well. Got a couple of kills, it looked like. Did take out the Spine Crawler there as well, but didn't even take out this base. Would have been a very easy catch, especially on the retreat. Those Lings that went up to reinforce, though, are already moving cross-map to launch yet another attack at Dignitas Select, who is getting +3 weapons, but I don't... Yeah, he does have 2-2. Both of them have 2-2. But there are Ultralisks on the way for NST. He is going to be dropping those units there, but another attack here. And getting a pretty nice surround there. There are going to be more infested Terrans thrown down by the Infestors, but he's losing Infestors. Oh, not as good as that engagement could have been for NST, but with 3-3 about to finish, Ultralisks on the way, and Chitinous Plating almost done as well. He should just be able to storm to the front lines and take out absolutely everything that Select holds dear. 4th base is very well running now, very well up and running. These Lings here, this little squadron of Lings, being able to hold that from any sort of attacks. Ultralisks are also going over there. Interesting choice against 2 Marauders, 1 Marauder and 1 Marine, but we'll be moving back across to home with this. Oh, there is another drop in the main. I'm so sorry I missed that. It takes out 1 Queen. All the tech is over here, though, so he didn't take out any tech. Mined out, practically, so there's not that many drones there. And even if there were drones there, all he did was help by clearing up a little bit of ST supply. ST now taking a 40 supply lead against Select. His incessant attacks seem to have really paid off. He may only be ahead by one base, but you have to take into account how many SCVs died here and how much mining time was denied here. Just absolutely huge attacks by QIMNesTea. And these Ultralisks Infestor, a very potent force. Several links thrown in there. Do they have adrenal glands? They do. Adrenal glands makes them cracklings, makes them absolutely formidable in any sense of the word. I've seen engagements where just not even that many lings, maybe 40 lings can take out an upgraded planetary fortress with relative ease. So that is the power of the upgraded ling. And these Ultralisks taking practically no damage. The little tickle tools that those Marines call guns are doing practically nothing to these +5 armor Ultralisks. Gonna be meeting up with even more of them. The Infestors coming in the back. A couple of lings just sort of holding map control there. But 9 Ultralisks. There is just not enough to deal with something like this. This push could be deadly. More lings streaming into the middle of the map. QIMNesTea is officially maxed, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be seeing a pretty good engagement here. Oh, misses the fungal on those Marines. Will force them into the tank lines, but there are just so many Ultralisks. I don't know if he can deal with this. Pretty nice spreading on those, but one great fungal, second great fungal. The fungals are absolutely decimating what the Ultralisks aren't. And while it looks like he might hold, there's just so many Ultralisks here doing so much damage. And he's going to be able to max practically immediately again. These almost dead Marines managed to pull back, but one Ultralisk hit could kill so many of them. They're going to pull back, but the Ultralisks are going for the orbital command, and now those Marines are just running into the mouths of the Ultralisks. Lings coming into the back, being able to cut off the Marines. Oh, wow, but very nice control by Select, managing to pick those up and drop them behind the wall. Now he's just going to be able to pick off what he can out here, and he's going to take a 5th at the same time to just really sort of prove his immense lead in economy at this point. I do feel like Banshees could do pretty well since he has no form of anti-air, but it would take so long to tech to them that he's just sort of got nothing to do. He's at 109 supply, and QIMNesTea once again is maxed. Practically. This is just not looking good. He's getting Mobius Reactor. He's going to be starting to get Ghosts. +3 armor is almost done. And those Ghosts do a lot of damage with their snipes against those Ultralisks. They will fall pretty fast. We saw Puma use them in the NASL to great effect. But, it'll be interesting to see what happens when he pushes up this ramp, though. He should be able to take the wall out pretty quickly. The question is, how much damage will his troops take? None! The Marines are not attacking! And he's able to push through that wall. Oh, not quite yet, but... Oh, wow, like, lack of control. Not attacking anything, it would seem. Couple of tanks coming up on the high ground, gonna be sieging up, but those units are all clumped up. He could do huge damage, but those SCVs are gonna be stuck, and they're gonna just be ready for feasting. That is a smorgasbord of SCVs right there for those Ultralisks, but they will be pushed away by those irritated waiters, also known as siege tanks. Gonna be pushing forward. Looks like he's gonna be going for... No, he's gonna be re-sending his troops over here for this lovely little expansion, which he wants to be able to mine out of as quickly as possible. Just so that he can stop getting attacked there, maybe move this. Oh, not very nice. Overlord preventing the command center from dropping in this harder to reach area. QIMNesTea has been maxed for quite a while. He's just waiting for his Ultralisk, his last lonely Ultralisk to spawn, and then he'll just make another death push. There is a bit of stuff going on here. Oh, it looks like Select actually sniped this hatchery without me noticing. I am sorry for missing that. Pretty big hit for him there, but there's just not much he can do at this point. Spire on the way. Look, I would assume he would be looking for a transition into either Mutas or Broodlords were this next push to die. Going to be coming in, trying to drop once again, but that entire army... Oh no, the army is pulling out of position here. And he will get all of one queen with that push. Not the biggest of deals for him. We'll see them. We'll turn back, but those Those Marines Marauders will take 0 damage and get away. He's going to be putting this hatchery back up again. Sensor tower is back up. We'll be able to see the attack coming. I do understand that he wants to get at the Spire, but I think NesTea should be throwing his army at him just simply because he has a large-ish number of resources, and he's maxed. That's the big thing. He's maxed, so he really and he has full upgrades, so he doesn't really gain anything by waiting. All he has to gain is Select getting more troops, but he's going to be pushing in. This could be the death push right here. So many Ultralisks, so many Zerglings. Tanks on the high ground doing good damage, not able to reach them, and the Marines are defending the ramp very, very well. But this is his only mining base, and there's almost nothing left, including SCVs at this point. The Ultralisks have turned around a little bit, but the Infested Terrans doing so much damage. And there's just really nothing Select can do. There are Corruptors on the way, as well as a Greater Spire. All of these are pretty hurt, except for with the exception of this lovely guy who hasn't taken a single bit of damage. He's just a lucky kid. Will be dropping, getting some nice hits off. Did actually snipe one of the lower health Ultralisks. Will be coming into this 4th base area, but there are units waiting to greet them. This is just so many drones. How many drones does he have? 76 drones against 25 SCVs. Not looking very good for Dignitas Select. Almost said show there. We'll be taking a couple of pot shots off on that, but we'll come in right behind him. You're going to be trying to establish a 4th here, but you have to keep in mind that Select is on 1 mining base, whereas NesTea is on 1, 2, 3 once he sends more drones over here, which appear to be on the way. There's a Corruptors just waiting for that Greater Spire to finish. And the Greater Spire finishes. And immediately morphing in 7 Broodlords. Doesn't quite have the supply to morph in anymore, nor does he have the gas to morph in that many. But, oh yeah, he will be able to get one more. What's he doing? Is he killing off his own units? Cloak is coming on for the Ghosts as well. 9 Broodlords could do horrible things to Select, who is only at 98 supply. NesTea is just really, I mean, at this point, some people might say he's toying with his opponent, but I do think that he's just sort of thinking Select has nothing he can do. The only way for Select to win is for NesTea to just jump into a horrifically stupid engagement. So NesTea is just preventing himself from getting into any of those really silly situations that might actually allow Select to come back from this. Oh, and the Broodlords. Oh, the snipes are taking the Broodlords out with really, really quick precision. 1 Broodlord with only 2 health here. Should get him in the back, but wow, the Ghosts are doing very, very well, but the thing is he just doesn't have enough of them. He only has 4 of them, and none of them have energy. The nice fungal going down there to prevent them from cloaking, even though cloaking isn't quite done yet. And as soon as he loses units, he just remaxes. Again, he's morphing in more Broodlords to replace the Fallen. These Ultralisks are just storming through everything. There are Lings that are coming to reinforce as well. The Broodlords should be able to hold until the Lings get there relatively easily. GG from Select. QIMNesTea takes this game. And fantastic play by him, just not wanting to engage in any silly engagements and just sort of dominating that entire game. Well played by NesTea. I've been Penguin, and thank you for tuning in.